Hi guys, welcome back to Hoodoo. After I have done the full Hoodoo, I will be doing Marie Laveau, who is the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans, but not until we finished this. So now we are on preparation and disposal, timing, etc. So we're going to look at the method of disposing the water that's left and preparation of the herbs or fresh flowers that we will use. Ideally, what you do need to do is, with any sort of fresh petals or fresh herbs, they need to be torn gently and rubbed into your palms. Then place in cool water and let them soak at least for 15 minutes. You can add them to hot water, but if you're adding to hot water, remember, wait till it's cool before you strain and use. The water usually takes on this green tint. This is what we call blood of plants, blood of herbs, blood of flowers, depending on the colour as well, because with petals you could get a different colour. Not everybody does this, the straining part, but if you want to strain it, then use whatever you have handy to strain out any petals, leaves, bits and bobs. You don't have to, not everybody does, but it can be important sometimes. This green tinted water on its own, because it is the blood of the herb, flowers, whatever we are using, it revitalizes and refreshes all it comes in contact with. That's even before you put whatever magical aspect you want into it. If you do feel that the mixture may not be strong enough for what you need, repeat the process until you think it is good enough. Remember, this is personal to you, so it's important that you feel it's right. If you're using roots, nuts, beans, or bark from a tree, boil them for 30 minutes in a cast iron pot. No other pot should be used. It does need to be cast iron, I'm afraid. That's why I still have my old cast iron pots. This is the reason, obviously. It's something that we've always done. I mean, using normal ones for a start, you're going to stain them and ruin them, and you won't be able to cook with them. So keep them separate from your normal ones. This water will turn brown. This is about grounding and connecting to nature. So before we've even put our spell casting into it, we already have something that's perfect for connecting us back to the earth and grounding us. When using essential oils, it's very, very important. It's 3 drops to 30 and 40 ml of carrier oil, no more than 7 drops to an ounce of carrier oil. Then a small amount will go in the water. However, oil and water do not mix. It is done by either first putting the carrier oil with the essential oil into milk, then placing that in the water, or putting the carrier oil with the essential oil into vodka and then putting that in the water. I use milk because if you just put the oil to the water, it's not going to mix. You can use coconut milk too. That's excellent. This will help the mixing process. Then you can use the wash. However, but obviously please check that the oils you are using are safe and seek professional advice where needed. You have to be very, very careful with these pure essential oils. I know I repeat myself every time, but it's really important. So as we've discussed, it can't come from tap water. It should be a natural flow of water. A stream, a well, a spring, even rainwater that you collect. I use rainwater. I prefer rainwater when I'm doing this. I don't know why. I just think it feels so much better. It always has, like when it's raining as well. I love being out in the rain. If you use tap water, it's sort of said that it doesn't do the job right, so to speak. Now, water that you can find from a well is meant to be some of the best water if you do have a well nearby. The kind of water for that is perfect for spiritual bathing, cleansing. It's really good. So, as I've said, the water is poured over you from neck down, and with your hands, stroke your body downwards to get rid. Or, if you're attracting, start from your feet and upwards to attract things in. While you're doing this, what you choose to do is completely your choice. You can pray, you can recite a psalm, you can recite a poem, you can sing. It's very personal. To soak in a bath is more a luxury ritual to do before love spells are performed, but not used in cleansing or drawing in things. Generally only used in love spells. That does not mean you cannot take a salt bath before you do your spiritual cleansing. It's just you would find that back then the bathing was more of it was very a luxury thing. It wasn't something that was readily available. Using spiritual soaps is a very good idea to help strengthen it. But of course, be very careful about what you're buying. If you make it yourself, again, be very careful with your ingredients. A popular way of doing this is to stand up in a bath while reciting a petition, a prayer, a psalm, a song, whatever you choose. Candles are very commonly used around the bath, usually white, placed either side of where you will wash. So as you walk in, you will walk through the middle of two candles. Right dead centre. That's before you start to wash. Usually people do sit or stand in a bath because the water's going down, so obviously they need to get rid of that water. At the same time, it needs to go somewhere, if you get what I mean. We don't want to just do it on his rug, do we? That would not be good for his rug. So generally it's done in a bath with a plug-in. You'll see why in a minute. But yes, 2 white candles if you're using any, and then they need to be placed so that when you, for example, if you're stepping into a bath, you would have one at one side of the bath, one at the other side. So as you step into the bath, you're going middle of the candles that are lit. That's the idea. But you do not have to do that part. It's kind of an extra bit, you know. Now, after you've done this, it's very important to air dry. Towel drying, it removes the ritual that you've just performed. There's no point. Another way of actually empowering this is to powder the body or dusting the body. And this is generally talcum powder mixed with herbs. Herbs that you know are safe, dry, and you've done it yourself and you know that you can use them. Again, it's the same. You stroke down to get rid, you stroke up with a brush to attract. But remember, please have knowledge on what you're using first. Don't just put things on yourself without knowing. It can cause some really bad side effects. Plus, it can be really bad if you're already on medication, so always check first. Dress in a clean and colour appropriate clothes after you are dry and dusted. Remember, there's many commercial things that you can buy, but again, make sure that you understand, is this personal to you? Is this going to work for what you want it to? Generally, the reason it's done in a bath or stood in even a tin bath, because I remember doing it in those, you then need to collect some of that water. There's going to be wastage, but there doesn't need to be wastage. There's going to be, I suppose, with most, but there doesn't need to be. So the water that you've used, you can collect it back up. If it's to get rid of negative energies or anything that you're getting rid of, and it's not going to be reused, if you've done a bad spell and such, then obviously the water must go. Dispose of this water by throwing it at a tree. The tree will soak away all the bad energy. This is not just any tree. This should be a tree that you are used to. It should be an area you're used to. It should be a tree you have gifted and built a connection with. If you do not have such a tree, go to a crossroads and throw it at the crossroads. Modern day, I've adapted to flushing it down the toilet as a sign of flushing it away. Even sometimes just letting it go down the plug hole and having it taken away. I prefer the old methods though, the tree or the crossroads. Just dispose of it there because it's to get rid of. We don't need to keep it. It's definitely not important. If it's a bath wash, a cleansing wash, floor wash, to invite in something like a drawing in spell, you can dispose of this water in your garden, dispose of it to the east to attract more of what's needed. Some people will recite a prayer of psalm as they are pouring it to the east in your garden. Another method of getting rid of water when it's been used for negative purposes is to stand in your garden at the front, not the back. Make sure your back is turned to the sunrise and throw the water over your left shoulder. Do not look back. Walk away in complete silence. Now, I'm sure you've heard the saying to throw the salt over your shoulder. It was never the salt. It was always the water from the bath. That's where that's from. Just so you know. That's just something that came later on with time, which is kind of silly, but yeah. You can use spiritual bath water for washing away your own foot tracks if needed. Never leave your foot tracks behind, remember. Foot track magic is one of the oldest ways of doing magic. Don't leave your foot track anywhere. That's my best advice. In modern times, people usually don't see things the same or do things the same. I still do. I can't help it. It's the way I am. I prefer the old methods, I guess. Timing, timing, obviously, when doing a spiritual bath, well, that's kind of personal, depending on what you want. There's no wrong, there's no right way, but spiritual bathing is more commonly done at sunrise, yet many will do it under the full moon. I call that lunar bathing, but it was just used for washing, cleansing at one point. But most of the time it's done at sunrise. Monthly bathing is usually the method to get rid of the old month and create a new one ahead. It's always performed on the same day every month for at least 3 months in a row before you have a break. It's usually taken within 3 to 7 days of the month. Many root workers will take a cleansing wash after their period, as it is a shedding ritual. That I understand. The days of the week in Hoodoo are more or less the same as you will see in many other paths. So they will represent what we know today, even though they go back generations. Sunday, the sun. This is for wealth, confidence, charisma, simplicity, answer to life problems, clarity, vitality, popularity, health, recognition, new projects, active changes, the beginning of a change, and any aspect of your life that needs renewing or changing, or if you feel like you need to draw in something new. That's for Sundays. Monday, the moon. Family, fertility, love, attraction, and children. Domestic problems and creation of domestic bliss. Women's issues, creativity within women, intuition and dreams. Tuesday, Mars, aggression, to cause or relieve strife. Reverse or give hexes. Cultivate your own personal strength, lust, passion, desire, sexual desires, and to face a challenge. To prevail in fights and difficult situations that you are faced with. Wednesday is Mercury. Communication, travel, increase alertness to prosper in a business, gambling luck, to distract or mislead, deal with loss and debt, and to aid in being more cunning. Thursday is Jupiter. Religious and spiritual matters to be dealt with. Protection, justice, luck, increase of power, health, prosperity, and success. To gain authority over a situation and to bring in future success. Friday is for Venus. Artistic ventures, reconciliation, self-love, sympathy, and empathy. Pleasure within yourself. Love, beauty, money, friendship, and luck. Saturday is Saturn. The cultivation of wisdom. Become more patient. Communicate with ancestors, deities, spirits of any kind. Overcome addictions, grief, unhealthy bonds. Sever cords attached by unhealthy bonds. Deal with past events you have not faced. This is a great day for binding and banishing. Many practices also follow the moon phases, as you know. You can install apps and things now about moon phases. It's all over the web. I mean, you can find it any way possible. It's all out there. The easiest way to remember the moon is the waning moon says goodbye to anything you wish. Let's go of old and rids of things we will not miss. So the waning moon removes things and lets things go. Waning says goodbye. That's what we mean. It lets things go. Some people also call this working during the darkening moon. I do not, but some people do. Waxing moon can bring us lots. Luck, prosperity, and love. It lets things stick and stay that bring us anything good. Waxing moon can bring us lots. So the waxing moon is to bring in. It's the best for drawing things towards us, increasing things in our life. It's known as working during the lightning part of the moon. I don't use it like that, but it has been known. A few other ways is obviously spraying yourself. This can also help you get your desired ending, I suppose, or it can just strengthen it. Using spray bottles, you can make your own. We'll get into those later. Those are hydrosols. They're a little bit different, but they are pretty easy. And because you're only spraying them, you can actually spray them above your clothes or in a hair area or anything like that. Rubbing is another form of magic used. You would have to pray or petition whatever you do over alcohol and a herbal mixture. So this mixture will have your herbs and it will be mixed in with alcohol. You'll rub yourself down with this mix while reciting a psalm, a prayer, a petition, whatever you use. It's generally used more to get rid of than to bring in this one. And the brushing is done with dried wings of a black hen or black hen feathers made into a fan. Sweep downwards to get rid of all the energy using the feathers. This is also the best way of sorting yourself out when you've done a jinx, a hex, a curse. You can use a black candle to rid negativity too by wiping it down your body and stating your needs to have the bad go into the unlit black candle. Once this is done, you can petition what you need to, then obviously light the candle and have it returned to the sender. This is usually done in jinxes and hexes, so it's done to sort of return it back to whom it belongs. Spiritual baths obviously can also be used for washing buildings, floors, drawers, anything, your altar, door frames, windowsills. It will just help keep unwanted visitors away or draw in what you want. Wash outwards when you're getting rid of energy in an area, so even the windows and doors. Leave the front door until last and then chuck the remaining water out of that front door. You can spray furniture and carpets. You can brush in an outward motion to get rid. To draw in things to the area, you need to wash inwards, so you'd have to start to the front door so that you're drawing in the building. The disposal of materials like herb, roots and powders They're different to water disposal. Deploying is a word used to describe where you are placing your ingredients. This is known as laying down a trick, tricking or throwing down for someone. The deployment in all cases of this kind of spell work is placed across the path of the person it is intended for, then walking away without looking back. This is thought to hinder the trick if you look back, so never look back. Hoodoo is a form of natural magical workings, and the ingredients themselves are seen as magical enough, with no need for consecrating items at all. The disposal, though, should be done correctly. With deployment, you are starting a spell. Disposal is bringing the spell to a desired conclusion. The method for disposal depends on the spell work, as we've just discussed. The throwing it against a tree, crossroads, such and such. Materials can be placed in people's homes, cars, across their path when it is targeted for them in particular. If it's for yourself, obviously you can carry a mojo bag, carry it wherever you need, on you at all times. You can place it in your home, such as you would put dream spells in your pillow. It's all very personal and very direct to you. Healing is an important one. That one needs to remain in contact with your skin or the person it's intended to heal. It must touch the skin for the spell to work. Graveyard disposal is common, where endings are needed sort of fast, I guess, final results. Buried materials in the graveyard signifies death or the present situation, like a relationship, for example, and allows you to make way for new starts. Burying spell materials is very common practice, and usually the items are wrapped in cloth and buried in the earth. The hoodoo bottle can also be buried in the earth, an alternative of placing things around the home when attracting things to the home is to put the materials inside foil, wrap them up well, and place them near the entrance or near any windows. Again, this is all personal preference. Never bury negative spells in your own garden. They're usually buried at a graveyard, but can be burned or blown into the wind. A negative spell bottle, when dug up, will not break. It does not stop a jinx, a curse, or an X. That would require an uncrossing, unexing, or unjinxing spell, and then the items must be burnt away. So do not worry if you've done this and you have buried a hoodoo bottle or hoodoo items to cause curses, hexes, jinxes. Anyone that finds it will just wish that they hadn't, basically, but it's not going to put an end to the spell. As you can see, most of this is very much personal preference. It really is. And to get rid, we're always working out. To draw in, we're always working inwards, which makes sense. Those ideas and patterns there are not shared by everyone. They're only shared by some. Some will follow the same patterns. But that's this part finished. It's a little bit longer than expected, but I want to thank you all for listening. I truly appreciate it. The next part that we get to are the tricks, eggs and bodily fluids. Very interesting one. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like my content and leave a like, because it really, really helps. Many blessings and thank you for listening.